Hi, I'm CJ Lou, and you're listening to the Fire It Up with CJ show. And today we have tea time with Steve. And so now, we'll have a little tea bell. Gong Fu Cha, the art of making tea, preparing tea, and enjoying the virtues of tea. So today we have Steve Bunnell from the East-West Bookstore, who is going to be talking about tea. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, CJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited about this. I realize I'm mostly a coffee drinker. And I know. What can we do? We're in Seattle.
It's true.
It's my demon juice here.
We're kind of inundated in Seattle, it's true, but I think that what Seattle's brought to the world with coffee is an awareness of higher consciousness through beverage. And I've got a couple different teas I'm going to share for you today. Also, there's a few different shops where these teas come from. The first of which is, it's a wild red rose. This comes from a shop called Zen Dog Teas, or the Tea House Gallery, in just a little north of Ballard. And so I'm going to take a couple of these guys. Can you see them?
I can, yeah. Tilt your hand a little bit. Oh, wow, interesting. They're like little balls.
Yeah, these are just little rosebuds. Now, granted, you don't want to just go out into your garden and start picking rosebuds thinking that all of them are able to be drunk.
Okay.
But these are specifically, they've been cultivating these for hundreds of years.
Oh.
And so I'm going to show you a more modern method of brewing.
Okay.
This uses a double-walled glass infuser, which you can get at East-West Bookshop. It's great because it keeps the tea hot inside and keeps your hands cool on the outside.
Oh, cool.
So let's see here. Usually what we'll do with any and all of our teas is we'll just give them a little rinse. Just a friendly rinse.
And what's the purpose of the rinse?
The premise of the rinse, I like to see it sometimes as an offering. Sometimes I'll have a little animal here, a totem. I have my foo dogs today. You can kind of offer that as a thank you to spirit, tea,
nice.
Spirit and nature. And it's kind of the element of tea that we're trying to bring into ourselves, And when you use a really fine, high-quality loose-leaf teas, you have more of that consciousness intact. It's not just a bag of tea that has lost most of its vitality and potency. So we try to use all loose-leaf teas when we do this process, and we really are revering the leaf itself as well. And we like to put emphasis on the process, but it's more about the spirituality of the leaf and also connecting with people, sharing the tea. That's a big part of it, too.
Interesting. So let me ask you a question. When we get those little bags of tea, those are not loose leaf tea.
Well, you know what they've been doing? They've been doing these sachets recently where you've got this pyramid silk bag, and they'll be putting loose leaf teas in those, and I think that's a great step up, because a lot of people, loose leaf tea is messy, and I understand that, and I try to bring new brewing methods to the table, literally, to kind of get over that. But I understand, it's like, even if you're at a restaurant, you want a really good tea, you need to.
Yeah, but like those bags that we have,
Yeah.
I go to the market, supermarket, and I get the tea, and it's all ground up. Is that not loose leaf tea?
No. When you see the tea that's kind of been all crushed and ground up, it's not loose leaf anymore.
Yeah.
It's
crushed up tea.
Crushed up tea. It's kind of been cut, sifted, and we don't know if those are floor sweepings or what they're selling us.
It's like processed tea.
Yeah.
Right?
It is, and I think a big part of that is the fact that people want tea. They want to get that flavor out, immediately.
Yeah.
They don't want to necessarily wait, whereas you might, wait 2 to 3 minutes for a black tea to really come into its own. With the cut leaves, you're getting that flavor immediately, within the first 10, 20 seconds.
Right.
You're
It's like an equivalent of instant coffee.
Yeah,
but it's
it is pretty much the equivalent. I like that. Or Franzia box wine for those connoisseurs out there. Well, I think about restaurants and I go, you've got a really crummy, this is the rinse, of course, you got a really crummy bagged tea, it's like, but you've got this amazing wine selection, these incredible coffees, and they put so much emphasis locally roasted and sustainable and yada yada, and then there's this tea. It's just kind of like,
that comes at your table, it's kind of like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to bring more awareness around tea, and I'm not dogging them. I think that really where we're at right now is we're ready to discover new teas. I think tea is a beverage that, of course, in the East has been associated with stillness, higher consciousness, meditation, and
all that in tea. Who knew?
Yeah, it's all included. It's all inclusive.
I can get higher consciousness and all that stuff through drinking tea?
You know, I think of tea as like liquid hatha yoga.
No, I love it, liquid hatha yoga. And you know what? It's a lot easier.
Yes, there you go. But it's amazing how relaxed your body becomes after tea. Most people, I think this maybe is something we should address early on, most people are concerned about caffeine in tea. And of course with this rose tea, this has no caffeine.
Right.
And I won't go too much into it. I've written extensively on the subject. But the fact is that tea does not technically contain caffeine, but contains another xanthine. And the French were actually smart enough to use linguistics to differentiate between the two. They say caffeine, which is a derivative of café, or coffee as we know it, and they say theine is a derivative of tea. And so we don't quite make that distinction. We say caffeine's in chocolate, caffeine's in, but there are differences in the chemicals.
There are different types of caffeine.
Yeah. And
Who knew?
Yeah. And the basic part of it is tea actually, when we start to drink the teas, they have more chemicals that actually relax the bodies, like L-theanine or theanine.
Yeah.
And it actually cancels the effects of any of what tea's xanthine theine would have on the body anyway. I've never seen anybody get up from a tea session, lace up their shoes, and go run a marathon with...
Right. Unlike when I drink a cup of coffee, it's like, like right?
Exactly,
Like,
exactly.
instead I drink tea and I'm like, Shanti.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference.
And so all that to say, do you want to come over and grab this cup of tea?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, beautiful.
So we can enjoy this together.
All right, first what I want to tell you about this tea is it's cute. If you compare this to like the gigantic coffee mug that we usually have, this is a cute tea. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
You can definitely taste the rose.
Yeah.
Is there a proper way to drink tea? I'm putting my finger up, which I know is proper in the Western sense, but is there an Eastern way?
The most accepted, especially in Chinese culture, would be to use the three fingers. And it kind of relates to the triad Heaven+Earth+Human. And that interconnectedness.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and that's another part, like I said earlier.
Both hands like this?
No, just one hand. And they'll oftentimes, there'll be a design on the cup. With these clear ones we don't have it, but they'll show that design. And when you go to a very formal Gongfucha ceremony, they usually have anywhere between 8 and 20 ladies preparing tea all in the same way, doing, similar hand motions.